If you're using OpenClaw, you might actually be exposing yourself to hackers without even realizing it. And the reason for that is because most OpenClaw setups require you to store your API keys, connect your apps, and even run your agents locally with pretty broad permissions. Now that means that if something goes wrong, your agent could potentially access your Gmail, your GitHub, or pretty much any other tools that you've connected. So that leads us to this question: what if you could run the same type of agent, but inside a secure environment where every action is isolated and logged? And that is where PokeeClaw comes in. So PokeeClaw is pretty similar to OpenClaw. You can build your own agents and have them automate different tasks. However, the main difference with PokeeClaw is that all of your agents run in their own secure sandbox environment, which means that even if a hacker tries to attack you with prompt injection or anything like that, your AI agent will not be able to leak your API keys or any connections because it simply won't have access to them. And to be honest, this architecture sounds pretty promising, and PokeeClaw just so happens to be way easier to set up, and it uses up to 70% less credits as well. So in this video, we're going to be exploring how PokeeClaw works and how you can set up your very own agent. So without any further ado, let's jump in and get started. All right, so here I am on Pokee.ai, and this tool is honestly going to be a game changer because this is basically like OpenClaw, but with much better security. I'm going to explain that in just a bit. It requires basically zero setup. You don't need to do any like terminal commands or anything like that. And also it uses up to 70% less credits as well. So let's jump into this tool. I'll show you guys how to use it and I'll explain all the benefits as well. So what you need to do is basically you need to come to Pokee.ai. You're going to have to create an account and stuff. So just do that. But once you do that, you're going to be taken to this page right here where you have a chat feature, and you can see that we have a bunch of different preset workflows as well, which you can copy. So for example, you can do deep research using this. You can summarize documents, obviously. You can schedule meetings and all that stuff as well. So this is basically like an AI agent that does a lot of different things for you. So anything that N10, Zapier, OpenClaw, any of these AI agents can do, you can do that with PokeAI as well. But the most interesting part that I want to cover today is PokeeClaw. So if I just click PokeeClaw, this is going to open up our chat interface, which is just like OpenClaw. You have your whole file structure here, so you can add different files and work with them. You can even have it do like different programming tasks, and you can chat with it obviously, and you can give it different tasks. So just to test it, the task I gave it was every morning at 9 a.m. send me a summary of the latest tech and AI related news. And at first it asked me, where do you want to receive the summary? So I said email. I gave it my email. It did some working. And if I go to my email, since that day, it's been giving me, news summaries. Perfect. So that's how it works. It's super simple. As you guys saw, there was no setup. We just had to click PokeeClaw and it just opens up. You don't need to go into the terminal or anything like that. I know that is a big problem that people face when setting up OpenClaw. The setup is pretty hard. Let's talk about the security features now. The approach that Pokee is using is pretty different. What they're basically doing is that whenever you create an agent inside of PokeeClaw, it runs in its own isolated sandbox. So what I mean by that is every agent is limited to accessing the data and integrations, for example, or the tools that they have been explicitly granted access to. On the other hand, OpenClaw, for example, gives complete system access to any tools that you create, any, workflows that you create. It can access the entire system. And similarly, Claude Code as well. It runs with the user's full terminal permissions. PokeeClaw, on the other hand, it does not do that. It uses a sandbox system where every agent that you create, it only has access to the specific tools that it really needs. So the best way to explain this, I think, would be something like this. So for example, this is OpenClaw, right? It has access to all your files, your API keys, and it also has access to different tools. For example, reading your email or sending out emails. Now, let's say that a new email message comes in, right? What it does is that basically OpenClaw uses the read emails tool to read the message. And then the message, for example, uses prompt injection to send the hacker all your API keys, or for example, some of your files, right? So what OpenClaw is going to do is going to read the email, right? It's going to get the API keys, get all the files, and basically send them back to the hacker, right? And that is exactly what we don't want. On the other hand, PokeAI, what it does is that if I just move it over here, you can see that PokeAI doesn't even have access to the API keys or doesn't even have access to any of the files, right? Because this is a specific tool that you created inside of PokeAI, and it only has access to the tools and data that you need specifically for that task, which is, for example, reading emails, adding labels, and sending or drafting emails. So when the new email message comes, even if it is a message asking, PokeAI to send the hacker API keys or files or anything like that, that PokeAI agent will not even have access to any of that. So it will not be able to send over that data. So that is a big advantage when it comes to using PokeAI over OpenClaw. And honestly, that is just one aspect of why PokeeClaw is more secure. It also uses an encrypted credential vault, fully isolated data storage, secure gateways, approval workflows, and role-based access control. And all these features make PokeeClaw way more secure than OpenClaw. Another thing I wanted to highlight was how many apps you can integrate with PokeAI. So if you just go to new chat here and we go to apps Pokee works with, you can see all the integrations that are available here. And this tool is pretty new right now, so they're adding more and more, integrations and more tools as we go on. And the best thing is that PokeeClaw can also run code, so you can call different APIs and do all that kind of stuff. You unfortunately cannot add MCP servers at the moment. That is something that I would want them to, work on, and that is definitely a limitation for now. But I think apart from that, considering that this is a pretty new tool, they are going in the right direction. You also have this marketplace where you can, access pre-made workflows. So there are some official agents that, they have made, and there's also a lot of different community agents as well, which the community is making. And you can also add your own agents and put them on the marketplace as well. So at this point, you might be wondering, what are some actual use cases for PokeeClaw? What can I build with it to solve my problems? And I just wanted to give you guys some practical ideas so you can replicate them and automate your workflows. The first use case I want to talk about is communication. For example, if you want to reply to emails, or you want to, let's say, schedule emails or automate replies, you can do pretty much all of that with PokeeClaw. You can even create marketing campaigns and automatically send them with tools like MailChimp. Apart from that, you can also schedule meetings with it. For example, you can create an agent that sends out your calendar link to people, and when they create a meeting, it adds that to your schedule and it basically notifies you about that as well. And you can definitely build upon this and make it more advanced, but I just want to give you guys a basic idea. I think for me personally, arguably the most important use case for PokeeClaw has been researching, and particularly using the deep research feature that they have. You can do pretty good research with it. I've been researching, YouTube video ideas, maybe even project ideas for apps to build, or just researching anything in general. PokeeClaw does an absolutely amazing job when it comes to that. Another use case that I want to mention here is handling CRM. So if you want to update any customer information, if you want to do any cold emailing to customers and sort of updating the data in your CRM, it can handle all of that as well. So those are some use cases. Now I want to quickly talk about the pricing of this tool, and it's actually very competitively priced compared to other AI tools. So they have a free plan which you can experiment with. You're going to get limited credits obviously, but they are enough to, get an understanding of the platform. Then they offer a basic tier for $20 a month, which is pretty standard. If you want more credits though, they have a professional plan which goes for $50 a month. Then they have an elite plan for $200 a month. And to be honest, if you compare this pricing to, let's say, if you buy a Mac Mini, for example, for running OpenClaw, these are pretty affordable, and PokeeClaw is a pretty good deal. So if you want to get started, go to the link in the description and you'll find more information there. But with that being said, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.